Emily had worked at the small store for almost a year. It wasn't her dream job, but it paid the bills. She stacked shelves, cleaned spills, and helped customers with fake smiles. The days felt long and the pay was low, but she kept showing up because she had no other choice. Every day she noticed one man, an old man, who came early and stayed late. His name was Mr. Leo. He wore simple clothes, carried a mop, and never said much. He was always cleaning, fixing things quietly, or helping someone carry heavy bags to their car. To Emily, he looked like a janitor. She thought he was kind, but didn't understand why someone his age would still be working such a hard job. Sometimes she even joked with him. "You work harder than the owner," she said once with a small laugh. Mr. Leo only smiled. "Maybe." Emily rolled her eyes. "The owner doesn't care about us, never visits, probably sitting in some big house counting money." Mr. Leo said nothing. He just kept mopping the floor, his face calm and peaceful. The customers liked Mr. Leo. Old ladies would smile at him. Kids would wave. One time, a little boy dropped his juice box and started crying. Mr. Leo bent down, cleaned it up, and gave the boy a free chocolate bar from the shelf. Emily looked around. "You'll get in trouble for that." He simply replied, "Sometimes, kindness is more important." She didn't know how to respond. No one talked like that anymore. Not in this world. One afternoon, a man in a suit walked into the store. He looked angry, busy, and full of himself. He bumped into Mr. Leo and snapped, "Watch it, old man!" Emily stepped in. "Hey, don't talk to him like that." The man stared at her. "Who are you?" "I work here, and I won't let you disrespect him." The man scoffed and walked off. Mr. Leo smiled at Emily. "Thank you." "You didn't deserve that," she replied. Later that evening, while they were closing the store, Emily spoke again. "You know, Mr. Leo, you're different." He chuckled. "Different how?" "You care, you listen, you never complain. That's rare these days." He wiped the counter and said softly, "Sometimes the quiet ones are just watching, listening, learning." Emily didn't fully understand, but his words stayed with her. One cold morning, Emily arrived early. The store was still dark and the manager hadn't arrived yet, but the front door was open. She walked in carefully. "Hello?" She heard footsteps, then saw Mr. Leo behind the register, turning on the lights. "You have keys?" she asked, surprised. "I come early sometimes," he said, brushing off the question. Emily found it strange but didn't press further. Maybe he had been working here longer than she thought. Still, a part of her wondered. That same day, an elderly woman came in. She looked confused and tired. Her hands were shaking. She told Mr. Leo she had forgotten her wallet at home and only had a few things. Mr. Leo smiled and gently said, "Don't worry, you can take them. I'll handle it." Emily watched from the side. Her mouth opened in shock. After the woman left, she asked, "Why did you do that? You could get fired." Mr. Leo looked at her. "Not everything in life is about rules. Sometimes it's about doing what's right." At lunch, Emily found an envelope in the break room. It had her name on it. She opened it slowly. Inside was a small note that read, "Your heart is rare. Keep it safe." L, that was it. No money, no gift, just those words. But they made her pause. She looked around, confused. Who was L? Only one person in the store had a name that started with L. That evening, Emily left the store with more questions than answers. Who was Mr. Leo really? Why did he act like just a worker but had keys to the store? Why did he give away items like he owned the place? She shook her head. Maybe he was just special. But deep inside, a voice whispered, "He's not just anyone." Emily couldn't stop, thinking about Mr. Leo. That evening, as she sat at home, her mind kept going back to the note. Your heart is rare. Keep it safe. L. Why would a janitor write something like that? How did he even know about her kindness? And how did he have keys to the store? The next morning, she arrived earlier than usual. She wanted to see if Mr. Leo was already there. He was. The lights were on, the floor was clean, and he was behind the counter, counting some coins like he owned the place. Emily stepped closer. "You open the store every morning?" Mr. Leo looked up and gave a warm smile. "Just helping out." "But you're not just helping. You're doing things only a manager or owner would do." Mr. Leo chuckled. "Titles don't matter much to me." Emily narrowed her eyes. "You have access to everything. You talk to customers like you know them for years, and you wrote me that note, didn't you?" He didn't deny it. He simply said, "I've seen how you treat people. That matters." Emily sighed, sitting on a nearby stool. "I don't get it. Who are you really?" Before he could answer, the front door opened. The manager, Mr. Craig, stormed in. He didn't even say hello. He looked tired and annoyed. "Leo, did you open again? We've talked about this. You're not staff. You're not supposed to—" Before Craig could finish, Leo raised a hand gently. "Relax, Craig. Everything's fine." Craig stopped. His face changed. He looked nervous, suddenly quiet. Emily blinked. Did her manager just back down to the janitor? Craig cleared his throat. "Right. Of course. Sorry, sir." "Sir?" Emily sat up straight. Did she hear that right? Mr. Leo smiled at Craig. "Let's not make a scene. It's a good morning." Craig nodded quickly and walked to the back office. Emily turned slowly to Leo. "What did he just call you?" Mr. Leo wiped his hands on his cloth and replied softly, "Sometimes it's easier to see the truth when no one's trying to impress you." The store opened for the day, but Emily was no longer focused on stocking shelves. She was watching Mr. Leo. She noticed how the other workers always greeted him with respect, how even customers gave him more attention than the manager. She started connecting the dots. Later that afternoon, when Craig was gone, she asked again, "Mr. Leo, are you the owner of this store?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked to the window and looked outside. "I built this place years ago," he said finally, "with my own money, my own hands. I didn't want people to treat me differently because I owned it. I wanted to know how they really are. When they think I'm just the cleaner." Emily stared at him, stunned. "You've been working beside us all this time, and no one knew?" He turned and smiled at her. "You treated me with respect, even when you thought I had no power. That's rare." Emily didn't know what to say. Her heart was pounding. She had joked about the owner being lazy. Right, in front of him. "You must think I'm a fool," she whispered. "No," he said kindly. "I think you're one of the few people who still sees people, not positions." That evening, something changed in the air. Craig was waiting near the door as Leo finished cleaning up. "Sir," Craig said nervously, "I'd like to speak with you about the budget." Leo turned to him. "We'll talk tomorrow, Craig. Right now, I'm going to walk Emily out." Craig stepped back, quiet. Emily walked with Leo outside. The sun was setting, casting golden light on the sidewalk. "Why did you hide who you are?" she asked. "Because people act differently when—" "They know," he said. "I didn't want fear. I wanted truth." Emily looked at him with new eyes. He wasn't just a kind old man. He was someone powerful, someone who watched quietly, but saw everything. As she reached her bus stop, she turned to him. "Thank you for trusting me." Leo smiled again. "Thank you for being real." As the bus pulled up, Emily got on. She looked out the window and saw Mr. Leo waving gently. She smiled. But deep inside, she knew. This story wasn't over. She had just discovered the truth. But something told her there was still more to this man than he had shown. Emily couldn't sleep that night. Mr. Leo's words kept echoing in her mind. I built this place with my own hands. I didn't want people to treat me differently. He was the owner, the boss. Yet he cleaned floors and stacked shelves like any worker. Why would someone so powerful hide his identity? The next morning, Emily arrived at the store early again. Mr. Leo was already there, mopping the floor like always. She watched him quietly. His face looked calm, but his eyes carried stories. Deep ones. "Mr. Leo," she said gently, "can I ask you something personal?" He nodded without stopping his work. "Why do you live like this? Why not enjoy your money? Drive big cars? Travel? The world?" Mr. Leo smiled faintly. "Because I once had it all, and it nearly destroyed me." Emily leaned against the counter. "What do you mean?" He stopped mopping and sat on a nearby stool. "I wasn't always humble," he began. "I used to be loud, proud. I ran this business like a king. People feared me, not respected me." Emily listened closely. This was the first time he had talked about his past. "I had money, fame, and people who said they were my friends," he said. "But none of them stayed when I lost everything," Emily gasped. "You lost everything." Mr. Leo nodded. "A bad business deal. I trusted the wrong people. One day I woke up and my bank accounts were empty, and my name was in the news for all the wrong reasons." Emily looked at him with wide eyes. "That's horrible." "It was," he said. "I had nothing left, not even my pride." He looked away, eyes lost in memory. But in that darkness, I learned something. Real respect isn't given because of money. It's earned by how you treat others. So when I rebuilt this store, I promised myself something. Emily waited. I would walk among my workers as one of them, to see their hearts, their truth. He looked at her now. "And I saw yours." Emily felt her eyes sting. No one had ever spoken to her like that, like she mattered. Later that day, something strange happened. A man in a black suit came into the store looking angry. H. The next morning, Emily walked into the store with a new sense of purpose. She had stayed up all night reading Mr. Leo's journal. Every word had touched her heart. Each page told the story of a man who had fallen, broken into pieces, and then found the strength to rebuild himself, not with pride but with kindness. Mr. Leo stood behind the counter, sorting coins into the register. Emily walked up and gently placed the notebook back on the counter. "I finished it," she said softly, "Mr." Leo looked up and gave a small smile. "And?" "You're stronger than anyone I've ever met," she said. He chuckled. "You're kind, Emily." "No," she replied. "I'm honest." That day at the store felt different. Emily noticed things she hadn't before. The way Mr. Leo greeted every customer with respect, how he helped the elderly pack their bags, how he let children take a piece of candy even if they couldn't afford it. Mr. Craig, on the other hand, seemed annoyed. He watched Mr. Leo and Emily talking with a bitter expression. "She's just a cashier," he muttered under his breath. "Why does he treat her like family?" Mr. Craig didn't understand. He only saw positions. Mr. Leo saw people. Later that afternoon, something unexpected happened. A woman entered the store dressed in an expensive coat carrying a fancy purse. She looked around as if the place was beneath her. "Excuse me," she said loudly. "Is Mr. Leo here?" Mr. Craig rushed forward. "Can I help you?" She waved him off. "No, I need to speak to the owner, not an assistant." Mr. Leo came from the back room, wiping his hands on a cloth. "Hello, Sandra," he said calmly. Emily looked surprised. This woman knew him? The woman smiled tightly. "Still playing poor, I see." Mr. Leo said nothing. "I came to tell you," she continued. "Your brother has passed away." Emily gasped. Mr. Leo had a brother? Sandra glanced at Emily. "Who is she? Your new pet?" Emily stiffened. Mr. Leo's face changed. His calm expression became sharp. "Watch your words," he said firmly. Emily is one of the best people I've ever worked with. Sandra scoffed. Whatever. Your brother left everything to you. His company, his land, millions. Emily's eyes widened. Sandra stepped closer. It's time to leave this silly store and come back to where you belong. With the rich. With your real life. Mr. Leo looked around the small shop. The shelves, the handwritten signs, the customers he knew by name. He shook his head. This is my real life, he said. And I'm not leaving. Sandra laughed. You'd rather stay here with cashiers. And janitors? Mr. Leo nodded. Because they're more honest than the rich I once trusted. Sandra's smile faded. Fine. Stay with your little people. But don't expect me to come back. She turned and walked out. Silence fell over the store. Emily stepped closer. Mr. Leo, I didn't know you had so much. He looked at her kindly. I don't measure people by what they have. I measure them by what they give. Later that night after closing, Mr. Leo and Emily sat on crates in the back room. You know, he said, most people hide their pain, but pain teaches us. Emily nodded. That's true. Mr. Leo smiled. You've had your share of pain too, haven't you? She looked down. Yeah, I grew up in foster homes. I worked 3 jobs. People never took me seriously. Mr. Leo nodded. And yet, here you are, strong, kind, honest. Emily looked up. You really think I'm strong? I know you are. She smiled for the first time in days. Not a small smile, but a full one. The kind that comes from being seen. Suddenly, Mr. Craig walked in. He had been listening from the hallway. Why her? He asked sharply. Why do you trust her more than me? I've been here longer. Mr. Leo stood, his voice calm but firm. Because you chase power, Craig. But Emily? She earns respect. Craig's face turned red. I deserve that, manager. Roll. Not her. Mr. Leo looked him in the eye. Then prove it. With actions, not demands. Craig said nothing and walked away, clearly angry. Emily looked at Mr. Leo. Manager role? He smiled. That offer might be coming soon. Her heart skipped a beat. The store opened early the next day. Emily came in like always, wiping the counters, smiling at the first customers and helping with restocking. But something was different. Now, Mr. Leo watched her more closely, not with doubt, but with thought. Like he was planning something. Something big. Craig walked in 20 minutes late. Again. He didn't apologize. He never did. Instead, he pushed past Emily and went straight to the back room. Emily sighed quietly. She had learned to ignore him. But something told her that trouble was coming. That afternoon, Mr. Leo called Emily into his office. The small room had old wooden shelves, a dusty clock, and a picture of a younger Mr. Leo beside 2 kids. Emily guessed one of them was his brother. He motioned for her to sit. I've been thinking, he said, about the future of this place. Emily tilted her head. What do you mean? I'm getting older, Mr. Leo said softly, and I don't plan to run this store forever. Emily blinked. She had never thought about the store without him. I want someone who understands people, he continued. Someone who knows struggle, who knows how to lead, not with orders, but with heart. He looked her straight in the eyes. I want that person to be you. Emily froze. What? I want you to manage this store. She couldn't believe it. Me? But I'm just a cashier. No, he said, smiling. You're not just a cashier. You're someone who listens, someone who notices. That's rare, Emily, and that's what makes a true leader. Tears filled her eyes, but she tried to hold them back. Mr. Leo, I don't know what to say. Say yes, he said simply. Before she could answer, the door slammed open. Craig stood there. He had heard everything. You're giving her the manager's position? He snapped. She hasn't even been here a full year. Mr. Leo stayed calm. Craig, I know you've worked here longer, but time doesn't always mean growth. Craig laughed bitterly. This is because I called her just a cashier, isn't it? Mr. Leo stood up. It's because Emily cares more about this store and its people than you ever have. Craig's face turned red. This place will fall apart with someone like her in charge. No, Mr. Leo replied. This place will finally grow. Craig stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Emily sat there in shock. I don't know if I'm ready, she whispered. Mr. Leo leaned forward. You don't need to be perfect, Emily. You just need to stay true to who you are. The next few days were hard. Word spread around the store that Emily might become manager. Some workers were happy, some were jealous. And Craig? He became colder than ever. He started whispering things to customers, making small mistakes and blaming them on Emily. He even lied to the delivery man, saying Emily changed the order when she hadn't. But Mr. Leo saw everything. And one evening, after closing, he called a staff meeting. Everyone gathered in the small break room. Mr. Leo stood in front of them. Emily stood beside him. I want to share something important with you all, he said. He looked around the room, at the tired eyes, the confused faces. This store is more than a business to me. It's a second chance. And now, I want to give that chance to someone else. He placed a hand on Emily's shoulder. Emily will be your new store manager. Gasps filled the room. Some smiled. Others looked away. Craig clenched his fists. I know this may surprise some of you, Mr. Leo continued, but Emily has shown honesty, care, and strength since day one. She's earned this. He looked at Craig. If anyone disagrees, they're free to find work elsewhere. Craig opened his mouth, but no words came out. He stormed off once again. Emily turned to Mr. Leo. Are you sure about this? He nodded. Very sure. She took a deep breath and smiled. That night, Emily sat alone in the manager's office. The keys were in her hand. Her name was already on the new schedule board. She thought about her past, about every door that had been closed in her face, every time someone told her she wasn't good enough. Now someone believed in her, not because of what she owned, but because of who she was. She looked at the staff list. She wrote next to each name, know their story. Because she remembered what Mr. Leo had told her. People are not positions. They are hearts. And she would never forget that. Craig didn't quit. Even after Mr. Leo warned him. Even after Emily was officially made the manager. But something had changed in him. He wasn't just angry. He was planning something. Emily didn't trust him. She stayed polite, but cautious. She checked the stock records every night. She double-checked the cash register. And she asked the other employees to tell her if something strange happened. Still, she believed in being fair. She gave Craig the same respect as everyone else. She hoped he would change. But Craig didn't want change. He wanted revenge. A week later, things got worse. One afternoon, a customer came to the counter, confused and upset. I bought this yesterday, the woman said, holding up a broken electric fan. It doesn't work. Emily checked the receipt. The fan had been sold, under Craig's ID. I'm so sorry, Emily said kindly. Would you like to exchange it or get a refund? The woman chose a refund. Emily gave it, apologized again, and placed the broken fan in the return bin. But it didn't stop there. 2 more customers came back the next day. Both had products. That didn't work. Both had receipts from Craig. Emily's heart sank. Something wasn't right. She went through the CCTV footage. What she saw made her blood run cold. Craig had been taking broken products from the return bin, cleaning them up, and putting them back on the shelf. He was selling broken items to customers. She showed the footage to Mr. Leo that evening. His face turned dark. This is theft, he said, and it's putting the store's name in danger. Emily nodded. What do we do?